Shalom everybody, hope you're doing well, hope your week was great. Friday afternoon here getting ready for Shabbat, sitting on the train here actually just coming from work as the winter Shabbats are shorter this time of the year. I want to take advantage of this time I have on the train to share with you a quick thought a bit about this week's Torah portion, Vaeira. So we learned already last week that the Jews, they're in Mitzrayim, they're in Egypt, and their situation has already changed. They're slaves, they're avadim, life is very hard for them, and Moshe is chosen to be their savior, right? And already this week's Torah portion, the 10 Makot, the 10 plagues begin. It's a whole interesting and fascinating and beyond logic kind of story of the releasing, the freeing, the liberating of the Jewish people, of Bnei Yisrael, from Mitzrayim, from Egypt, right, through these wonders and niflaot and these nisim, these miracles that happen through the hands of Moshe and his brother Aaron. It's a whole complicated and sometimes difficult to understand story. Why did it have to be this way? Maybe that's for future times to talk about. But one thing I just want to highlight right now is the idea that throughout this week's Torah portion, and starting already from last week's Torah portion, is this idea of prayer that keeps surfacing, shouting out. The Chidush HaYorim, the first Ger Rebbe, points out that in Mitzrayim, in Egypt, the Jewish people were not only physically enslaved, they were also confined spiritually. Even the word Mitzrayim, right, comes from a language, from a connotation of being kind of in a tsar kind of place, in a narrow kind of restricted, or constricted, I should say, kind of place. Right, so not only physically were the Jews enslaved, but spiritually as well. And one of the manifestations of the spiritual slavery that the Jews were experiencing in Egypt was that they forgot all about this idea of prayer. They forgot that there was an institution, a practice, a channel, an ability, a possibility of prayer. They forgot how to pray. They forgot that they even could pray. And that was a sign of the deepest level of their exile and of their servitude in Egypt. And the Chidush HaYorim teaches that there's 10 languages that the sages of Israel count, 10 languages of prayer throughout the Torah. Right? A few of those kind of languages, Tzaka and others, show up in this week's Torah portion. And the Chidush HaYorim teaches that through the 10 Makot, the 10 plagues, God was basically, essentially breaking through the barriers that were standing in the way between the Jewish people and the power of prayer. And that with each Makkah, with each plague, there was a liberation, there was a release, and the Jews realized, right, and remembered, and regained their ability, their awareness of the power of prayer. You see from last week's Torah portion, the entire process of redemption starts with a kvetch, a screaming out to God from the Jewish people in the depths of their pain and their suffering. Right, so the whole cycle, they had this one little memory that there's something, I don't know, just this primal scream, right? As we actually taught about last year, this primal scream starts the whole wheels of redemption moving forward. And in this week's Torah portion, we see Moshe praying a number of times in his conversations with Paro to release the Makot because they've served their purpose. Each Makkah, right, serves a purpose, and at the conclusion of the Makkah, some of them at least, Moshe will pray to God for it to be finished, to be released. I want to just share a thought about prayer. What is it? In our modern day world, run by logic and rationalism and science, it's very hard sometimes for us to understand, what do you mean I can pray? I say some words, I put in my mouth, and I ask for something, I kvetch a little bit, and reality changes? How is that possible? How can that possibly be? Right? If it was meant to be, it was meant to be. If it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. What I say, what I think, what I express isn't going to change reality. So clearly, Judaism and the Torah believes differently. We believe traditionally that not everything is rational, that everything is logical, that there's a world that we can't see, that we can't touch with our hands, that we can't experience with our five senses. And in that realm, prayer is one of the most, if not the most powerful tool that any human being has. Rabbi Nachman teaches many times that for the Jewish people, our strongest weapon is the weapon of prayer. Right? With prayer, we can change anything and everything. Right? How does it work? I mean, there's pages and pages and pages of this, and I'm no master at this, but I want to share one thought of possibly how prayer can work. Even in our world today, the modern day science and world of therapy, of psychotherapy, understands that when people sit and they talk about something, they feel better. They can change, they can move things. Right? On some level, I think on a very real and deep level, this is an essential aspect of prayer. That I'm going through something that's difficult, I'm going through something that's challenging. It's hard for me, I don't know what to do. If I feel like I have no address, I have no one to talk to, no one to express it to, I'm stuck, I'm confined, I'm trapped, I'm a slave to that experience, to that suffering, to that external force that is impacting my life. But when I believe, when I feel that there is an ear, there is an address, that there is an avenue, a channel, a means to which I can express what's going on for me, and I can ask for a change, already that's freeing, already that's liberating, already that's changing my experience. And people, I think many people, and maybe you, and I know I have myself, viscerally, we can physically feel a change already. Right? Not just in our minds and in our spirits, but mamish in our bones. We can already feel a shift of the situation, that maybe there's hope, maybe that there's a way out, or already talking about it makes me feel better. Right? And though I think prayer is more than just talking it out, it's an aspect of it. And when I believe that I can talk and I could express and I can ask, already the thing that's affecting me isn't the king of the universe, isn't the ruler of my life. Yes, it's something that's happening and it's real, and I'm asking a force that's way higher than that to be involved and to step in, so to speak, and change it, right? To alter it. But already through my expressing and my talking, I'm already changing myself. And there's a deep belief in Judaism that what happens to us is kind of destined to be based on who we are in any moment. Right? It's a complicated idea, but just to share it simply right now. Right? So who I am, right? What happens to me is kind of, how do we say it? Kind of custom tailored for me, who I am. But through prayer, if I'm already changing who I am through prayer, I'm already maybe elevating myself or changing my perspective or more hopeful now. Now already that thing that was meant to be for me maybe isn't meant to be anymore, because it was for me that it used to be, but isn't anymore because I've already changed. I think it's a strong, beautiful idea of the Torah. So we see in this week's Torah portion and last week's Torah portion the power of prayer, the role of prayer in the redemption of the Jewish people from Mitzrayim, right? And its role in the redemption in our own lives and in our own personal lives, right? On individual levels. I bless us all, including me, that we should connect to prayer in all the beautiful ways, in all the personal ways. We should be aware and understand the power of prayer. And in our lives, we should use it. It's there for us. Right? It's there for us to change our lives and to change the world. Bemet. Sending lots of love and blessing from the land of Israel for an incredible Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom. All the best.